Hello friends, how are you today? Well, this chart, it's just amazing. And of course we have no data here at this side of the chart. We just have this amazing blue and this crazy what just happened, red and white and yellow. So I wanted to talk in this video about the second amazing image here, this set of energies. And I've been thinking a lot today about how to talk about this because there's a lot of things that I could say that I don't really want to talk about. I thought I would do primarily an intuitive interpretation. So it's really interesting because this image here, as soon as I saw it, it looks a lot like the image on the chart from my last video from that chart in 2019. Let me show you. It's amazing that I even talked about this. See this? I called this the spider. What happens is when you get a big outpouring of light, and you can see this was from November 24th, 2019, and I'll link this video below. But we would see it a lot. You get an outpouring of light, and then you'd have like a kind of a scary red image on the chart. And it would be like the light is allowing us to see, to reveal. It's revealing something. The apocalypse, revelations. The apocalypse means the unveiling, right? The unveiling of truth or whatever is really below the surface, truly influencing something. Well, anyway, so I had seen this kind of red spider, as I called it, on the chart many times in 2019. And in fact, the first time that I really noticed it was right around the time of the Notre Dame fire. And then, oh my goodness, in 2019, I was seeing this energy everywhere. The 2019 Notre Dame fire, it showed me that this energy would not succeed. That's what I want to say. There was a couple of influences with that fire. I'm just talking from an intuitive and esoteric perspective, from my perspective. And it's like these forces attempted something that had more complex geometries than they would normally use energetically, and it didn't work. Beauty for ashes, right? Because it was so amazing looking after that fire. And the amazing thing was all the beams that were in the church that were burnt and fell through right from the ceiling, because the ceiling was made of ancient wood and it mysteriously burned up. Anyway, you could look past that in the photographs and see the light on Mary at the altar. And there was a huge Mary at the altar, and she was all golden, lit up, and it was almost like the way that she was looking down from the back of the church, the way the photos were, it's almost like she was also looking down upon her children that are represented by this energy, because the Creator loves us all. That's the amazing grace of life, is that no matter what life is, the Creator loves us. The Creator loves us, like unconditionally. It's pretty amazing. Okay, and then this was where the amplitude was 0 on November 26th, which was a new moon. Now we are in a new moon period, as I mentioned in that video. So what I did was I looked at this image. So the first thing I thought was, this looks like half of the red spider. Okay, like if you cover up the other side of it, you'll see what I'm talking about here. And in fact, I put something out on Telegram, and then I thought, I don't want this to be out overnight because I just wanted the good vibes from my other video to be out, because it's kind of this energy can be challenging. It just looked like that, so you had the kind of body part, and then these legs going out to the side. From an image perspective, it looked like the spider totally large, right? So here's the 2019 image, and then here is I had it all different ways here. When you're talking about energy, you can have multiple interpretations, and that can be correct. Essentially, when you're talking about energy like this, the whole is represented in the part. So that's why multiple interpretations are valid. because I could be looking at one part, but someone else could be looking at another part. And I could even look at it from different parts, which is what I'm doing here. All right, this is how it appeared on the chart. You can kind of see the comparison with this image. All right, so here's today, and here is the other day, and this is what it looks like to me. It's just like this tiny spider that got revealed is now like super size. So what I wanted to talk about is the antidote to this energy. But first, let's just look really. Did you see the 6 in here? I just saw that. I didn't see that in 2019 when I looked at this image. But there's a 6 right there. That is just, it really stood out for me when I was working with these images today. See, look at that. The other really interesting thing was there's kind of a scary face right here. You can kind of see it here, like red eyes and a red, like a skull face here. But when I looked at it sideways, it also appears sideways. This image was reminiscent to me a bit of part of the Punisher skull, like where the long teeth are. And then here you have another, like, strange image, eye, and then this looks like that just teeth right in his head. So I just wanted to talk about the spider imagery for a second. And let me also say that this when I doubled the mirror image, it looks like a technology to me. But here's the thing, just because a technology is new or advanced doesn't mean it's human friendly. So I don't know that this is a human friendly technology because it doesn't come across that way. Just when you look at it, you go, ew, that looks not human friendly. So that's the other thing I would say is it looks like a technology. Oh, that's for something else. Let me just see if you can still see the face really clearly here. I brightened the colors in the chart because I was actually looking at the blue, but I'll tell you about that on another video. Okay, so when you have the spider energy like this, what I want to do is tell you the antidote to it, because what I have found from really doing a deep dive with it, this energy represents like terror or fear, extreme fears, and it's the part of us that we have to reclaim is what can be subject to these terrible fears, and those are represented by the spider. And the spider, now I'm not talking about all spiders, I'm just talking about in this case. The spider essentially is a mechanism through which our energy is controlled and potentially drained, right? Through emitting this crazy level of fear. And, I have compassion for people who've been living in this for the past 3 years, because some people really, really went that way. The antidote to this is to turn around, face what it is with love, whatever that thing is. And even if it's a spider in a nightmare or a vision or a dream, you face it with love. And here's the trick. It's not about loving the other thing. It's not about loving the spider. It's about loving yourself and making the fact that you love yourself a priority. And with such a level of love that it's fully, unconditionally backed by divinity and by the divinity that you are. And when you face what terrorizes you with that level of love, it leaves. It does not want to be in your presence because it cannot stand that level of energy. And indeed, for interdimensional energies that have hacked into our reality, which is a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into right now, but I have videos on it where I've talked about it. They are in my human resonance playlist, probably, or my energy playlist. But anyway, there's the potential, if it's something that's hacked into our reality, that it will withdraw into its reality, and then we can seal the hole that it came through. And that can be done also with love. Our reality and any tear when unconditional love of the Creator, which can be invoked by the human being, when that's applied, our reality can be healed. And it takes great courage to do that. And yet all it really takes is the willingness to love these parts of ourselves and not abandon them. Not abandon them. And then to, when you have brought love to that part of yourself that is sitting there in fear and terror, once you've brought love to yourself and the terrible thing has gone away because it cannot stand love, then you can reintegrate that aspect of your soul, that aspect of who you are. And so this is the gift here. And let me tell you another antidote to this energy. When I first started doing energy work, and actually I started doing land work early on, and about 11 years ago, I did my first land work project. And what I would find as I was doing various kinds of energy work is that things that would try to bug me while I was doing the work, it would appear as something very large, kind of like how this, like I called it, the red spider is taking up the entire length of the chart. And what I found was that, now this is a technique, is that if I simply looked at that thing, and I'm talking about, all of what I'm talking about is in energy, not in physical reality. It's in energy, it's in visions, it's in dreams, it's in the non-physical layers of energy that can be seen, with clairvoyance, or some people can perceive them emotionally, and some people can perceive them from knowing. So all of what I am discussing is, except for the Notre Dame fire, is in energy. And when I was in energy, and I would look at these things or perceive them somehow, when I perceived them from a state of love, and I looked upon that thing lovingly, what would happen is it would reduce in size like this, okay? It would be this great big thing, and then I would look upon it with love, and then it would go like, whoop, oh, there it is. It's just a tiny little thing. And so these energies, and I've made this one bigger here so that you could see it, because you can see in the chart it was very small. See how small it was? And see how it barely poked above. See how I'm talking about that this is non-physical energy? See how it barely poked into the alpha? Because see, this 8 here is where the alpha brainwaves are waking state of observation. That's where that is. So this is in the subconscious and the unconscious, and only the little red pieces here poke through. And it's interesting because it looks like a kind of a scary red guy, doesn't it? A man, woman. See how it looks like a male, but it has breasts. So this was in our subconscious, and now it's come out from our subconscious for us to see in vivid color in the real world. And we're seeing this in the real world. See, it goes from almost 0 hertz to really, it's affected even up into the 30s here. And the interesting thing is, see how these ranges are white. Our conscious awareness is here. And we have this is probably about 26 here. And then I think this was about 20. Is that right, or 24? I think this is about 24. So we are consciously aware throughout our hertz ranges. And this started, these horizontal lines being lit up started a few days ago. I remember talking about it on a video because it was unusual, and now we know why. Because we need all our senses about us, right, to deal with this. And yet the antidote presented itself before what happened. Okay, because that's what the Creator does, right? That God has grace for us. And someone mentioned something about 0 point in my comments related to this, and thank you for mentioning it. I do think that this is a great representation of 5D, and I'll talk about that on another video. But this here, complete 0 point, and there's some characteristics about that I want to get into, but essentially this state is of pure love, right? Pure love. And so we were given the antidote before it came into view. And so God has our backs. The divine has our backs here. And remember that love for one's own self, for the formerly abandoned places within, is the antidote here. Turn around and face it with love. Face that shadow. What is yours to do, right? What is yours to do? Because as we do this for ourselves, it shifts the world around us. And each one of us that gets some courage to do this, and this is a spiritual work. This is the work of the spiritual warrior. So I'm talking about a spiritual technique here. These energy techniques are spiritual. And, you know, I use the word energy, but directed energy is prayer. Prayer is directed energy. I have a video on that as well. So when I think of energy, and I think of love as energy, that's same as saying prayer connected with, when you're praying and you're connected with God. Or maybe you're a Buddhist and you meditate and you have that sense of perfect centeredness. That's 0 point. And so we were given the victory before the battle arrived.